Really?
Well, in a groundbreaking new report, Michael Knowles Michael Knowles has discovered that no, in fact, pornographers do not have your best interests in mind.
What about the tobacco industry?
I hate to break this to you, man.
Damn it.
They might just want to make money off of you.
I can't believe the merchants of vice are just bad people.
Porn. As you all know, Michael Knowles, he's obsessed with pornos lately. He's been making it a key part of his show. He's been talking for a while about how there are different forms of porn that have hypnotic powers, the likes of which straight men are unable to resist. This porn is so powerful. This is not your grandmother or your grandfather's porn, okay? This porn uses advanced techniques, hard bodies, and very, very hard cocks in order to convince people to become gay or trans. The reason being, not simply because the world needs more gay and trans people, which it do, but also because it's a way of expanding their markets. You see, they're not having enough of a global reach and dominance with just giving straight porn. They need to give straight people different kinds of porn. And so now they want to expand their markets by turning people, because they believe you can turn people, into homosexuals, or turn cis people into trans people, or turn people who are cis into being engaged and desiring people who are trans in their porn. All of this is, of course, nonsense. You probably already guessed that based on the fact that you can't do this. It's not a surprise that the same people, the Christian nationalists who believe deeply in things like conversion therapy, also believe that you can convert people into being different sexualities, or that you can somehow convert people to be interested in different genders and stuff like that. Unfortunately, for conversion therapists, it's just not true. Conversion therapy is a form of torture. It's pretty recognized now by psychiatric associations as a form of torture. You can try and pray the gay away all day, all night, but unfortunately, the Lord will not hear your calls. And also, none of you, this includes you, Michael Knowles, are getting into the kingdom of heaven for this twisted bullshit. That's something else I have to say. And yes, we will talk about Soy Goon of Kakad in a couple seconds. Zeotuk, thanks for resubscribing. Live long and prosper. Very, very important message.
Did you know that porn is bad for you?
Yes.
Could you even believe it if I said that the people producing porn...
I just love that all three of these are the exact, human rendition of that actual, animation that's supposed to look like the Coomer guy. It's like three Coomer guys banded together to talk to you about why you shouldn't watch the pornos. Here's why porn is bad, and we've definitely never seen any. Or actually, any we've watched was for research purposes. Exclusively, just for research purposes.
Don't have your best intentions in mind.
Really?
Well, in a groundbreaking new report, Michael Knowles has discovered that no, in fact, pornographers do not have your best interests in mind.
What about the tobacco industry?
I hate to break this to you, man.
Damn it.
They might just want to make money off of you.
I can't believe the merchants of vice are just bad people.
I know. This was a big shock to me as well. I had to rethink a lot of different things. But yeah, it turns out that the operators of MindGeek, now known as ALO, have been caught in an undercover report, Project Veritas style, admitting to some rather unsavory behavior. I know nobody was expecting such a thing from, like you say, the purveyors and merchants of vice. But I think it is interesting because the way that they talk about it really does show that this is...
I just want to get ahead of this for 2 seconds and not let the right dominate this argument that perhaps porn is not all good. There are elements of both porn and sex work that can be very exploitative and that can actually be bad or damaging for you. There is such a thing as people becoming addicted to porn and suddenly utilizing that addiction to suddenly have trouble in their life. This is a very real phenomenon. It's not unique, and it's certainly something that if you are addicted to porn, that there are going to be things that can help you. There are resources available for anyone. Just the idea, though, of porn in and of itself being evil is false, right? Like human beings, as long as we've been able to draw things on caves, have been drawing titties and cocks. There's nothing new about that. There's a long, if you go to a sex museum, for example, you can see a very long and detailed history of how humans have tried to recreate and represent sex in a variety of ways throughout all cultures, throughout history. It is certainly a part of the human experience, whether it is an enjoyable experience or whether it is one that simply people don't want to enjoy at all. None of that in and of itself is bad. So just the idea of making pornos or enjoying pornos, good news. you're not bad. You're not evil. If you have enjoyed watching porn and you got off, you're not an evil person. In fact, if anything, you were probably more relaxed than these three coomers who seem to be very, very pent up by getting angry at the pornos.
Hate you, and they all want to make you gay. Quite literally, they want to make you gay and they want to make you trans. I don't.
So, by the way, and maybe that was too much for Sargon of Akkad right here. He seems to be a little bit taken aback, but this is the same shit that people were saying to me in high school. Like, none of these men have grown up. They're all little boys. They're all still little boys. They're like, everyone wants to make you gay, bro, and if you're gay, you're weak and feminine. Yeah. Yeah, what are you, queer? What's going on?
I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but it's the truth. Maybe if we can't bleep that out, editor, but
I think we can probably say that.
I think it's fine.
I mean, this is straight from the horse's mouth, as we'll see as we go along. But first, the website has lots of great videos on it. And
things that won't make you gay.
Yeah, this definitely won't make you gay. This will make you informed.
Ah, yes, the opposite of gay, informed. Yeah, don't be gay. This whole thing just reeks of fucking gay equals bad. And again, that it all is rooted deeply in male insecurity, all right? If you look at how dudes are raised by society, we're supposed to be manly men. And if you look at all the things that can make dudes toxic, a lot of that fosters a lot of deep insecurities. And it sucks because I can tell you firsthand, if you're in high school, the two worst things you could be is gay or a woman if you're a dude. Right? Those are the two worst things. And that's why there's so much focus put on shaming anyone who's doing anything slightly effeminate, shaming anyone who's slightly different. Oh, is your voice too high? Have your balls not dropped yet, bro? What are you, gay? All of that. That was in my generation. I've heard things are much better now. I've heard now kids are a lot more aware of the fact that, yeah, being gay is actually fucking based and awesome and there's nothing wrong with someone being gay. But this whole worry that, hey, by the way, if you don't do a certain amount of things, you might be gay. The standards to which men have to be men under the entire patriarchal system makes them deeply, deeply unhappy and deeply, deeply insecure. And that plays out in terrible, terrible ways. And a lot of people wonder, why is there so many things like violence, for example, sexual violence as well, or just people doing things in which like it doesn't really have a lot of value. And a lot of that does have to do with the fact that you reinforce over and over and over this idea that as a man, this is how you have to be. And if you fail at that, and it's kind of hard to always succeed at all of those requirements under capitalism, well, then you're the worst things you could be, a woman or gay.
Which is the opposite of gay. This was what...
I used to be gay, but then I went to school.
What? Well, not if you went to British private school, sadly. Sadly. But this was a video that Josh and I did.
Sorry, was that like a personal story? What's going on there? I assume that the private school would have been an all-boys school, and then yeah, maybe there was a little experimentation. You know, something may have gone down.
On his
no homo though.
Series talking about the influence of genetics.
So if you don't want to be gay, the solution is you have to be informed. So make sure you watch our new show, Genetics and Voting, where we break out the calipers and truly show you the ideal skull shapes for people and their voting demographics.
Genetics on people's behavior and politics as well, the heritability of politics. It was a really interesting discussion, and I think there is a lot of value in this Veritas, where she spoke to some of the writers and producers of MindGeek. It was MindGeek, now it's ALO, but I'll keep calling them MindGeek, who are the umbrella corporation that own Pornhub and a whole swath of all of these pornographic websites, and have been in a lot of trouble over the years for some pretty dodgy things that they've put on their website before. I think a few years ago, Pornhub had to remove like 90% of the catalog.
He's one of those that's not gay if a guy sucks my dick type of gays. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it could just be, you know, the homies helping each other out. Sometimes you just want to be a good friend. What can I say?
Figuring out your sexuality, maybe even your gender. Wouldn't it be helpful to see, not a celebration, but just like maybe a normalization of something that you think is what you want, you know? Probably helps a lot. Let's say I was 12 and I saw like trans angels, I saw all these different sites. It would help me figure out what I do like and what I don't like. I need to try to push stuff that's less accepted, like putting a trans male.
So we looked at this a little bit the other day on a different show known as Leftist Mafia. You can go check them out everywhere Leftist Mafia is sold. And at first we had to look up who Sound Investigations was. There's not a lot of information on them. Their website is kind of rugged. So this is kind of like a wannabe Project Veritas, or maybe it's one of the spin-offs of Project Veritas that hasn't really tried to associate with them by name because of how fucked up Project Veritas is. But if we go to soundinvestigations.com, you get taken to a website that I can only describe as in progress. So this is what it looks like. See new videos as soon as they drop. Subscribe to our YouTube channel notifications. Donate to keep our work going. Tips, work on the inside. Contact us securely at soundtips@protonmail.com or on Signal. Porn writer on Hidden Cam. 12-year-olds watching Trans Angels probably helps a lot. Pornham ad on Network Engineer. Revenge porn. They don't give a fuck. Compliance employee reveals so much room for error and unfair porn ads. Now, we don't have any confirmation that the people in these videos actually work for the organizations they're supposed to. Project Veritas, if it is associated with that or if they're just trying to emulate them, is notorious for being horrifyingly bad at actually, using real sources. They a couple times successfully catfished, as in they did go on a date with like a low tier CNN employee who was telling them things. They also went on a date with someone who hasn't been verified to work at the level of Pfizer where they worked, and then in the middle of that date at the end of it said I was just lying, I was just saying whatever I could because I thought I was on a date, shit like that. But the whole catfishing on dates technique, in terms of journalism, it doesn't really pass the smell test. You don't know whether or not you're actually getting testimony from somebody who's actually answering questions, or whether or not they're just trying to woo someone in the middle of a date, or they're like 6 drinks deep or what. It's not actually like the way. It's the reason journalists don't actually do this. Like, journalists aren't like, oh, I'm gonna break the story, I'm just gonna have to be the honeypot, and then I basically go on a date with this person, and then on the 6th date, once we're like 12 drinks deep, then I'm gonna start asking them all those questions on camera, and then right when they're like, okay, so are we going to move on to another location, I'm like, aha, you got hoisted, the whole thing was a scam, you're on camera, smile.
That's just the biggest pornographers on the planet.
Yeah.
How do you make 12-year-olds trans and gay?
Yes.
That's
See,
the company.
see what they did there? See? It was so fast, in 2 seconds. And that's the whole reason why these like clips are so quickly edited and only have little click snippets, because it's exactly intended to make someone who's watching it hear just 2 or 3 parts of it and be like, okay, so they said these words. They said 12-year-olds, they said trans, they said gay, and so it means they're trying to make 12-year-olds into gays. They said it. They said it out loud. How are you going to deny this? Lefties, you're going to try and debunk this in real time?
Seems to be justifying it by saying, oh, they might just be trying to find their identity.
Yeah.
It comes with the assumption that, oh, well, kids who don't realize that they're already trans will be watching our stuff, so we might as well push it onto them.
This is going to help a lot, is it? Help who?
Yeah, but
Help them.
it seems that
Also, just so y'all know, there's not a situation in which you watch trans porn and then you suddenly want to change your gender to become trans. That's also not a phenomenon that is being recorded or observed amongst humans. Like you watch some trans porn, and then suddenly you're like, well, you know what? I have enjoyed this trans porn. I have enjoyed this trans woman porn. So I now believe, even as a man, I now need to become a woman. I need to change my gender. Again, it's people who always associate sexuality with the idea of gender identity, because it's just a couple steps too far to try and separate that these are different ideas and concepts, even though they can be interconnected and sometimes associated. Sometimes people's sexuality is based on what gender of people they are attracted to. That part is true. That is different from what gender you are, and perhaps you may not be represented by the gender that you're supposed to be outwardly in the rest of the world. They don't see you as the gender you actually are. These are different ideas and concepts, even if they can be interconnected, which I know is why it gets confusing.
they are operating a little bit, whether they say explicitly or not, that there is some elasticity and malleability, especially with, you talking about 12-year-olds, obviously their brains are still incredibly malleable to this.
They shouldn't be on porn sites.
No, of course they shouldn't.
No.
But seeing as they're going to be anyway.
We may as well convert them. Yeah.
No, but this is actually, I'm pretty sure, an admission of a crime.
But who's on the other side of that? Like, that's just straight up illegal. If you're making a porn site that appeals to children, then yeah, you're committing a crime.
Yeah, because as mentioned, social media companies are duty bound to not go under 13 because of the conflicts of interest there just with social media. For a pornography company to say that we're looking at 12-year-olds and how to get them.
Again, like if this person does work as a scriptwriter, again, that has not been confirmed or verified, could just be a random person talking into a camera. But if that was the case, they did not say we're looking to recruit 12-year-olds. He said that when I was younger, when I was 12, perhaps if I had more normalized content that didn't always show things in a negative light, that would have been helpful for me discovering my own identity. Things like, and he mentions trans angels. That's a person giving his own personal POV on the situation that you're now again twisting into. Well, this is what MindGeek says. This was MindGeek. They said it.
You also try to see how much you can take of that and bring it to mainstream vanilla content, right? Because like Brazzers and Reality Kings is predominantly for straight men, but you try to like push the envelope as much as you can. Be like, okay, can I hint at like bi content here? Can I like talk more about like, what if we brought a trans talent onto the site? And you kind of like take those risks to try and broaden it a little bit more, even though you know that you have a site dedicated to that, right? Like you're always trying to push it a little further. Because the thing about Trans Angels, which is a site,
we're now back to the other
presenting trans women, and like they
and again,
sell that.
Even with these bombshell revelations, they're still highly edited and flipping back between different settings. So just keep in mind that the cohesive narrative that they're trying to draw from this is also edited together to look a certain way.
Straight men.
But what he's basically describing in that first clip is basic, I would say, marketing in terms of if you are writing or if you are creating content that is not as widespread or accepted or as even promoted as, say, content that comes from big name brands, and big name brands in this case happen to be really big name brand porn sites. If that's the case, then we also look at ways in which how can we expand our markets or promote ourselves into mainstream content, aka conversions, which is why when we were talking about conversions earlier, we were talking about how I think they're misplacing the term conversions for converting, as in they think that this is somehow capable of converting people into enjoying porn they may not have been enjoying before, or enjoying things of a sexuality that they themselves don't have. And this is an incredibly complex topic to try and break down by, three coomers, obviously, who are just like, I can't stop the algorithm from promoting mancock. But the concept of, hey, do people explore, especially in private, elements of their own sexuality? Of course they do. Do people question elements of their own sexuality? Of course they do. This is nothing new. A lot of people had their minds blown when there was some mainstream movie that featured two lesbian characters and they were watching gay porn of two men in the film. And I remember seeing a lot of discourse of people being like, why the fuck would two lesbian women watch porn that features gay men? And then, of course, a lot of straight dudes, or even in my case, like myself, bi dudes, had to learn that that's actually pretty common, that actually lesbian couples do enjoy watching gay men performing in porn together. And then the question becomes, well, then why? Are you attracted to the men? Do you want to have sex with men as well? Are you actually bisexual? And the answer is no. No, we're lesbians. We enjoy lesbian content. But a lot of lesbian content is made for straight dudes. And then it's like, wait, what does that mean? Yeah, it's lesbian content that is supposed to appeal to men who are heterosexual but still enjoy watching gay porn, as long as the gay porn features two women who are most likely very heterosexual themselves, but act as if they are suddenly really, really into each other. And that is done through a lens that is to appeal to straight viewers, but straight consumers like watching gay porn. In this case, straight consumers love watching gay women porn. And again, people are like, whoa, well, that doesn't mean that those dudes no, it doesn't mean that they're gay. It means that human sexuality is way more complex and diverse than simply straight dude want to see woman, that's it. And that paradigm, if you've got that focus in your head, right, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, yeah, so straight guys only want to have sex with women and that's all there is. It's like, well, the more we learn about human sexuality, the more we learn that, like most things, it happens to be on a spectrum. It's incredibly complex, and there are instances in which, yes, you can have two women who happen to be very, very gay, and they're only interested in having relationships and sex with other women, but they also find it erotic to watch the porn of two gay men performing on each other. It has some things to do with power, control, the fact that men aren't often seen as, say, like subs in a pornographic context. There's eroticism eroticism to that, and you may not want to reach into the TV and grab their penises or anything, but at the same time you witness it, and that to you becomes erotic enough to be arousing. It's complex. That's all you can really say about this. Human sexuality is very, very complex. Does that again fall back on the fact that this segment, these secret cameras are revealing that yes, there is a plan at the highest levels being performed by the world's largest porn sites to convert straight men into being gay. And it's like, if they have determined that straight audiences and straight men who are very large porn consumers are clicking or viewing or watching things that aren't considered to typically be viewed by straight gay men, such as perhaps a bisexual sex scene with another man. There doesn't have to be full penetration. Maybe they just help each other out a little bit along the way. Or perhaps they enjoy watching people who are trans in porn scenes, even though they've been told their whole lives doing so makes them gay. Don't worry, fellas, it does not make you gay if you're still enjoying a female presenting individual. It doesn't matter if they have a cock or not. But they find that in fact is generating some of the straights to click on these things. And that, as a company, is something that you're easily going to make a verifiable business decision on. That, yeah, there is a market amongst what we predominantly thought was straight men who are just obsessed with straight porn to suddenly want to click on a couple extra things. So the AI is now suggesting to them some other things. It's not at all indicative of this is going to convert them into liking that content. Again, the whole thing feels like a massive self-report that they're trying to flip in reverse, where it's just like, yeah, it turns out straight dudes who get in a lot of shit publicly, if it turns out they have any kind of inclination other than 100% straight. I only watch porn without guys in it because I never want to see another naked man. And it's like, that's not true though, is it? Like the majority of the porn you watch does have other dudes in it. Like you spend a lot of time staring at other dudes' dicks. It doesn't make you gay, but like you just kind of maybe you pretend that you are the guy in the scene. I don't know. No, I only look at titties. That's it. And it turns out that same dude, well, maybe he's clicking on some other links, he's clicking on some other videos, and those videos will trigger an AI to suggest other videos to them, and suddenly they're watching other content. And it's not as if this is suddenly this weird slippery slope fallacy where every 2 seconds it's like, well, I couldn't stop myself, and then I saw more stuff, and then I desired it. It's like, well, that's the part. Maybe it was that you desired it, and maybe we as a society shouldn't shame you for that. Maybe it's not a bad thing, you know? Maybe you can be a mostly straight dude who does enjoy sometimes looking at another guy's cock. You don't have to want to touch it or play with it. But you could just be like, oh yeah, okay, that was fun, and then you move on to something else, you know? We live in such a weird repressive society where people have to be shamed for any single thing or inclination that they have, especially by Christian nationalists and fundamentalists who try to tell you that everything outside of a platonic relationship between one man, one woman that has, kids as a result of sex, that's the only way life is supposed to be. But it's not. It's not. Sex is pleasurable. Many forms of sex is pleasurable. And sex, again, like all things, it's complex and diverse. And there's even human beings who have absolutely no interest whatsoever in sex or sexuality. Or they can be asexual but still enjoy certain kinds of sexuality. There's, again, complex spectrum. Lots of different options. But maybe stop making people feel entirely guilty just for enjoying something.
Like, that's the demographic.
Why?
So yeah, we're going to try and expand the market by turning straight guys gay, because that's
No, they didn't say that in that clip. These clips are not revealing that. This is not the bombshell you think it is, right? Yes, the secret camera has revealed what a lot of people, especially leftists, aren't willing to accept, that it's the porn companies that create gays. Have you listened to gay people talk about how hard their lives are? I'm talking about people who are 100% gay, not people like me who could hide, a little gayness just by being super straight, but people who actually are just 100% gay. They are attracted to people of the opposite gender, of the same gender, and they are vilified by society for doing so, right? They are vilified as being fucking weak or pussies or F-slurs or stuff like that, and how much they try to be straight it is sad as fuck to listen to, and like that is a universal thing. Like my gay friends who are 100% gay, they've said the same stories. Yeah, I wished I couldn't be gay in high school. I tried to watch straight porn. I tried to fucking ask for help from God and stuff like that. I tried everything I did. Mike has told the same story where he's like, yeah, I didn't think I was gay. I thought something was wrong with me, and I tried everything I could to try and be less gay because that's supposed to be normal. Because no one wants to be fucking beat up. No one wants to be made fun of. No one wants to be yelled at. No one wants to be called an F-slur. No one wants to be made feel like they're fucking subhuman or less valuable or a worse person just because they suddenly enjoy something that everyone else around them doesn't. And so that's just the sad reality of having a world in which people aren't made to feel valid for this shit. And it's honestly, it's disgusting. Because these three Coomers, right, the dudes of whom the Coomer avatar is based upon, they just want to judge you. They want to judge you for what you watch, what you view, and then make it all into some grandiose conspiracy. Like, the truth is going to be a lot simpler, all right? The Occam's razor of this situation, Michael Knowles likes gay porn. Or Michael Knowles likes sissy hypnotic porn. And that's okay. He doesn't think it's okay. He thinks it's part of a massive conspiracy. He thinks like the entire porn industry is conspiring against him to try and turn him into someone who likes those things. And that's why this happens. Ha! My wife's all mad at me because of my search history and my questionable taste in a whole bunch of films or something like that. But little does she know that it has nothing to do with me. I'm being manipulated in real time by these algorithms. They're making me look for these things. I swear, I put into the browser straightest fucking porn that ever 9/11, and then all of a sudden all this other stuff popped up, and I was powerless. Like I saw the thumbnail, I saw the description, I knew what it was going to be, and yet it was like the hand of God was moving the mouse onto the other side, and then oh God, it clicked on it, and I couldn't stop it. I could turn away, and then suddenly it possessed me, controlled me. I sure it sounds complex and wild. Could also be that maybe you wanted to explore parts of yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Rationale here is because if you're talking about
how does that expand the market?
Well,
It expands the market for trans porn, but it doesn't expand the market of pornography users.
So what's the point?
Because you want them to be diverse.
You want them to be
inclusive.
you want them to be paying for all of this extra content, which is behind the paywalls.
Yeah, but you could
It's
do
not
that with
behind paywalls.
you could do that with
Well,
female.
that's the thing. A lot of it's free access.
Oh damn, he's getting a lot of correction from the other Coomers. I like that they're just trying to be like, well, no, actually, you don't have to use paywalls unless you are a premium member, of which I have been for several years. That part's actually very nice. You don't have to look at the ads. You can actually just enjoy all of it endlessly. And then you do get to have a lot more catered things. And I notice sometimes that my comments get bumped up in the algorithm, you know, when I talk about how it's absolutely degenerate that a white person and a black person are having sex in the sequence. And I want to let them all know about how angry I am. And then I really want them to get mad at me because I enjoy when they get mad at me and they don't like my, you know, race mixing commentaries. And like, okay.
So
this
really,
isn't about money.
what you're really doing, well, the excuse given in some articles that we'll look at in a few minutes are that it is to expand the market so that they can get paid subscribers to these websites, like I think Trans Angels is what it's called.
Right.
Therefore, it's not about trying to convert straight guys to become gay. It's about expanding the market. But to expand the market, you have to convert them.
But even then, you if you
Oh my God, you're so close to getting it. It is all fucking frustrating as fuck to watch people just dance around the point and then completely be like, well, no, the only thing this could possibly be is that they're trying to turn people trans. That's the only thing that makes sense, right? There's no other reason why a heterosexual alpha male like myself would enjoy looking at a woman's cock other than they're trying to trans me or perhaps secretly make me gay. That's the only reason. Nothing else makes sense.
you control the straight porn, the trans porn, and the gay porn, getting the straight porn to watch the trans porn doesn't increase the market at all. You still are getting the same amount of money.
But it means it means that you're converting those viewers into the more transgressive.
Like they're almost saying it. They're just like literally dancing around the point. It doesn't add up though. It does not math, you know? I can't Andrew Yang my way through this in that like if they control all of the sites and they have the same viewers who are watching the porn, then to what benefit would it be outside of they try to make people gay? But that doesn't make sense either because they'd be watching on the same website. and the website is based on ad revenue and the subscription-based models. So that it's got to be the whole, they're transing kids. That's what's happening.
Stuff, but like you say, if it's all the same, if
I own Coke and Pepsi, why would I convert Coke purchasers to buy Pepsi?
Yeah.
I get the same money either way.
These are very good questions. There aren't.
If you're a racist for drinking Coke, not a racist for drinking Pepsi.
So that's the level of intellect you're going to get on these kind of shows. I know they advertise themselves as, hey, if you don't want to be gay, what you got to do is you really got to get into our intellectual discourse here. The intellectual discourse is they just figured it out, but they don't want to admit it, and or they didn't figure it out. Just they verbally have said it out loud, but they haven't gotten to the point themselves yet. They haven't clicked, and so they have reverted to, but the SJWs think drinking Coke is racist, right? Yeah, fuck those cucks, fucking cucklords.
I've got a social mission.
And then next week, you're racist for drinking Pepsi. You go back to Coke. Like,
so just for some background as well, here's Arden herself.
So again, they got there, and the point was almost verbalized, didn't click in any of their brains, but then they reverted to, yes, and this woke cancel culture will say that you're racist for drinking Pepsi or something. Yeah, lol.
Talking to Michael about the background of the investigation and some of the other practices that we've already referenced here. So let's play that.
Well, we were inspired to investigate Pornhub in the first place because of a 2020 New York Times article called The Children of Pornhub. It really detailed struggles of often underage people to get their abuse videos taken off of Pornhub, which were being advertised.
Which, by the way, is an important discussion to be had, and one that is completely valid. There's absolutely no defense to be done for a company that is exploiting children or exploiting people who are posting revenge porn of other people. That is illegal and should be, taken down almost immediately. There's an even bigger discussion to be had, and I don't know if anyone has seen the Netflix documentary. A lot of people got mad at it because they thought it was an anti-porn documentary about a lot of these websites. It wasn't. I actually went into it thinking this is going to be another one of those anti-porn Christian hysteria ones. It wasn't. It was entirely about how people who have turned 18 oftentimes are exploited by predatory both producers and agencies of young teens who have, we should say young adults because they've recently turned 18, where they will not fully give them all of the details of what they're actually trying to recruit them for, but they will put out ads that look like generic ads, as in like, hey, do you want to come to LA? Do you want to be in a photo shoot? Do you want to be this? We will provide your flights. We will provide your room, your board, and some money for food. All you got to do is come down, get to meet the team, we'll take some photos, and we'll go from there. Oftentimes what they're doing is that these are people who have like these massive houses or mansions where they have lots of people who they sometimes even have to sleep in the same room and stuff, and when they get there, they're like, hey, by the way, we're going to be filming for a lot of these sites, and a lot of these sites are interested in brand new talent who have never performed in pornography before, and a lot of the people who are being recruited, again, 18 years old, they don't fully understand the consequences that they will permanently and forever be known as a porn actor or actress by doing so, and they are offered money, more money than they may have been offered before. Like, hey, you could make $1,000 if you do the shoot, we can line up 4 or 5 shoots for you. And the reason why this is pretty predatory is that this is not done with a business model in which, hey, do you want to become a sex worker and a famous porn star? And if you do, here are the ways in which we can help you do that. This is done from a perspective, how can we exploit people who don't fully know what they're getting into, who are still relatively young, and then afterwards, they are completely abandoned by that same industry. Because after doing these 4 or 5 sites that are interested in, we only hire brand new talent, there's not an entire pipeline set up for them to become very successful sex workers. And the allure of the 1% of porn stars who are actually the biggest top tier names, that entire allure is a mysticism that is applied to any field, right? Like when you watch streamers, if you watch YouTubers, if you watch anyone who's famous on the internet, they make it look very, very easy. And then you think, wow, I could do that. I want to do that. That looks fun. And the same thing could apply. There are individuals who want to get into sex work, and some of them want to get into sex work because they want to become the next big name in that industry. Well, that's very hard to do. And if you are bringing people in, especially very young people, under false pretenses in which you are saying, hey, do you want to come model? Do you want to come do this? When really you're trying to exploit them into sex work, that is abhorrent. And that's what that documentary ended up showing. These are the real criticisms of both the porn industry and the monopolization of porn that should be the focus of anyone. But again, the right wing is taking something that could have merit, that could be a topic for investigation, and they're just using it to go after queers. Just time and time again. It's like, hey, Disney is a very predatory, monopolistic company, and they extend copyright laws, and so they can just have it in perpetuity. They also gobble up all their competition, not allowing for smaller studios or creatives to really have any like flex in the industry. Would you want to talk about that? And it's like, yeah, Disney's woke cause lesbian, and what? No, that's not a bad thing. Having a very small amount of representation in a film isn't the downfall of society. It's barely in there. Come on, you can blink and the lesbian kiss in lightly. What? It's being edited out that same movie to enter international markets that don't approve of that lifestyle. No, this is not what's wrong with Disney. What the fuck is wrong with you? Again, you're using all of this time, money, power, resources, media apparatus, and all of this reach. And then people will oftentimes get at me in comments like, what, Lance, are you defending Disney? What, Lance, are you defending all of these fucking porn sites? It's like, I'm not defending them, but I'm trying to point out that this criticism is fucking Looney Tunes. It's Mickey Mouse shit. Like, none of this is based in reality. There is no such thing as you can turn people trans by watching too much trans porn, or you can turn people gay by watching too much man cock. People are gay, and they will gravitate towards things, or they could just be a little gay and a little curious, or they might just enjoy a cheeky little something now and then. None of that's wrong. None of that's bad. That's okay. You're totally fine. You're gonna be all right. Even if you were a little bit gay, there's nothing wrong with that. None of it is. But then it goes back to that. And it's like, yes, we've just done a very big investigation of the porn industry. Apparently, according to them, they want to convert people and convert markets into more mainstream markets in the exact same model and way that every single other website on the internet does. Well, we got them. We finally know that they're trying to turn the kids trans, right? Yeah, no, we have in irrefutable proof, even though the three of them kind of debunked this in real time, but then their Coomer brains went them right back to reset.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Can you please hit the like and subscribe button and maybe leave a comment? It really does help the videos out. But first, the people who produce everything you see before you and make this entire channel possible: Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Puppy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demel, Trevbot.exe, Words Greenwood, and Travis McClinton. And also, thank you to every other person who helps fund this show. Their names are on the screen right now. It would not be possible without every single one of them. We cannot thank you enough. And if you want to join the Patreon, please come to patreon.com/theserfs and help us exist.